So let's start with the today's interview thing. So have you worked on HA? I think you mentioned like you worked on HA Vault.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Okay, so if you can help me like how the HA Vault is installed and what are the like okay, the first thing, what's the difference between standalone and HA Vault? In which scenario you will refer your client like please go with the HA or go with the standalone.
Mm. So standalone, like we just have a single node, like a production node and a DR node, and like if the production goes down, DR is the only backup that is available. But for HA, it is like there'll be two nodes for a particular, like if there is a production server, it will have two nodes, one active and passive. If something goes wrong with the active and it gets shut down, then automatically the cluster vault management will switch to the inactive mode. It will make the active inactive and the inactive will become active. And it is only like it is only recommended to have it like it is recommended to have a high availability so that there is not much business impact and there is not much effort that is carried out for doing DR activity when the production goes down, because the cluster management will automatically switch to the working node of the production, like the inactive node of the production, make it active so that we don't have any big issues in it.
Okay, cool. And any recommendation, let's say you are going to install the HA Vault. So what are the recommendation or the like you will follow before deploying the HA Vault in actual?
Uh, I'm not sure about the recommendation, but I can say it will be the same as the standalone Vault. I would say the Windows servers 2012 or 2016, which is compatible, having C++ and installed on it, not being part of the domain, these few things. But it is like I think we'll need in standalone we'll need only one server production, and if it is an HA, then we'll require two servers. One will be active and one will be inactive node. That's the thing I'll follow maybe, though I'm not that much sure on it.
Okay, okay. So in HA Vault installation, so there are drives we need, like as you know, like we have storage and
The drive, yeah,
so
correct, yeah.
how those are mapped to the HA Vault? Any idea like how you can map those drives to the HA Vault?
The SanDisk is I'm not sure, but they say it's a SanDisk where yeah, I'm not that much sure on it. No.
Okay. So what are those drives if you know?
I think for SanDisk is S drive. Uh,
Okay. Any idea about column disk?
I've heard of it, but not into deep thing.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you have done DR like failover, failback, or DR drill, we
Yeah.
can say.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's say your production is down
Hmm.
and now it will fail, an automatic failover is configured,
Hmm.
and your production, like your PVWA, is only pointed to the production vault,
Hmm.
and that failover is going on. So will that PVWA URL will load or not? It will load. It will show that page if you will try to, because your production is down and you are trying to
Yeah,
load your
got it.
PVWA URL, which is only pointed to the production vault only, and you are just trying
Yeah,
to
understood it.
load that URL. So will it that URL will load or not?
The URL will not load because there is the I think the URL will load, but it will not allow the login.
Okay. And how? Let's say you are saying like URL will load, will load. So how it will be
because
loading?
because because the vault server is down, the production vault, not the PWA production server. So the URL should load, and when you try to log in, it will not. The user will not get authenticated to prod vault because the server is down. So that's why.
Okay.
I'm saying this.
Any reason? Yeah, the server is up. Like we know, the PVWA server is up. But which is making that URL
Mhm.
load? What is any like you know?
The PVWA app user.
Because as you know, a PVW app user just communicate to Vault only to fetch those details and all. But Vault
Yeah, that's
Vault will
correct.
not be functioning then. How that PVW app user will?
Okay, so if PW app is communicating to production vault, then I think this URL will not load.
Okay. So you are saying like URL will not load or it will load?
It's a tricky one now. uh, like the scenario what you said, if the PW app user is connecting to prod vault, then definitely it will not load. That's what
No, no,
I'll go
just
for.
I'm saying, I'm just conveying to you. You tell like whether
Yeah,
it will work or not. As you know, okay, what are the functionality of your PVW app user and PVW gateway user?
app user is for like internal navigation for like for moving from one like for loading the page and all those stuff
Okay,
and
so you are
PWA.
saying like it is for loading the page. Okay,
Yeah,
so if it's loading the page, then how your URL will load then?
yeah, it will not load. That's
Okay,
what.
so you
That's what. After you giving me this hint, I said it will not load.
okay,
Yeah,
so final answer is no, like it will not load the URL.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. It will
okay.
not
Just
load. Yeah,
remind me, we'll discuss this thing. I will in last.
yeah, sure,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So one more scenario. Let's say you are planning to go from your own premises to cloud. Okay. But you
Mm-hmm.
want your production should stay in on premises only. Only your DR you are shifting to cloud only. And you want to have two
Okay.
DR. Like one production and DR is then there on premises, but still you need one more DR on cloud. But
Yeah.
and you built the server on cloud, you did everything. Now you are trying to replicate. You are replicating the data from on premises to the your cloud DR, but
Mm-hmm.
it's
Okay.
failing. And when it's replicating till all the safes, but when it comes to PSM recording safe, it fails.
Mm-hmm.
It's stuck for 2 hours, 3 hours, and after that you get a message like fail to replicate, and your like service gets stopped, and your private act server is coming up. So what could be the reason and how you can resolve this issue?
Okay.
Let's say I will
Mm-hmm.
write the sorry, I will write down the scenario here.
Mm-hmm.
You have prod and
Yeah, I got your point. Like DRPSM recording safe is not getting backed up on the cloud or DR
yep.
node. Uh, mm,
Real world is replicating, and when it comes to PSM recording, it's failing.
mm,
It's failing.
mm,
So any idea, any have you come across such scenarios? How you can fix
I
this
haven't
or
come across such scenarios, but
let's say you are doing
might be because of
everything right, like your communication is there. Because if communication is not there, it won't be replicate any other safes.
the other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And everything is happening because these like as you know in PSM recording, you have your recording and size of that will be like large.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gets stuck for a while, like for some time, and then it gets failed. And you see in the logs like we are failing to, like DR like fail to replicate. And again you just restart it. Again it comes to same PSM recording and it stuck over for some time and it fails.
Is it because it might have like a low memory and all the stuff,
No, it's
and
having the
the
identical, even more than your production. because as you know, physical
Mm-hmm.
machines are very compatible, like very performance is very high as compared to virtual
Mm-hmm.
machine, and on cloud it's on virtual, but still it's having double of your resources than your production vault.
Not sure like what can be the thing.
Okay, okay, cool. So let's take the same scenario to the on premises now. So
And
yep, yep.
okay. Okay, no, no. Yeah, please.
Okay. So let's say you are trying to replicate. You built a a new DR vault on premises, and you are
Mm-hmm.
replicating the data, and it's not able
Okay.
to replicate anything. Like it's failing in starting, and when you just restart the DR service, your private arc server is coming up, and in the log file you are seeing that communication error. So how we can troubleshoot this?
Okay. When I start the DR services, the
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, when you start the DR service, so automatically your
mhm.
private arc server comes up and DR service automatically gets terminated.
Okay.
What could be the issue and how you can fix that so that it's replicate the full data?
Uh, Maybe the DR ID is not in sync. I have to run a CRUD file for it
Okay,
and then get that in sync and start the DR services.
okay. Yep, that could be one of the reason. And let's say if I'm
Mm,
saying like DR user is up to date.
okay. The wall.ini file does not have the DR IP pointer to it.
Uh, DR Volt IP or which one? Production.
The DR IP is not present in wall.ini file of the on the DR server.
Okay, so are you sure? Yeah, in the vault.ini on the DR server, it should be pointed to DR or production.
Uh, 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 mm, it should be like on the wall.ini. No, it should be pointed to prod. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
No, I'm just asking you. Can at last I will explain all these. Don't worry.
Okay. Uh, I think for application stuff, I think it should have the production vault IP in vault.inf DR file.
Okay, so let's
Uh,
say it's having that.
mm, what are the other cases? Okay. Um, in the PADR.ini, maybe the failover mode is enabled to. Uh, okay, this is related to something. The failover mode is enabled to S, uh, then it has to be enabled as no, and then only the DR services will be coming up.
Yep, yep. But still, it's not replicating the data.
It's not replicating the data. Mm,
And what you are doing, if let's like DR is not able to communicate to production vault, after some time it's coming up. Your production vault is again coming up. Well, means on private arc server is again coming up on DR side because your enable failover is set to yes.
mm. That's what like enable failure. We have to mention as no, and then we have to bring up the DR services up. After that,
Okay,
it should be like
okay. But
replicating the
still it's
data.
not replicating. So let's say you have resolved the now. DR should not act as like private arc server shouldn't come up on the DR side because you have disabled that parameter. But still, it's not able
Mhm.
to replicate the data. DR is not replicating it; it's failing.
Uh,
Cool. Okay.
no idea. Maybe after you give me an insight, like what's that happening?
Yeah, sure, sure. Just need to understand, like, if you know the any possibilities, like the one you told DR user is that's totally fine, and this Waldo-Tine also, which you told, that's also one of the reasons. But there are more reasons will discuss.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say you onboarded one account in CyberArk, like in PVWA, and when you are trying to connect, you are getting one error like PSM is not defined in target policy setting.
Mhm.
So, have you come across such errors, such issues, or like if you are clicking on the connect
Yeah,
button?
like such errors come when I have not assigned the PSM ID or the PSM name on the platform of that particular target. Either I have to give the particular PSM host name, or I can give the load balancer of PSM in the target
Yep,
platform.
yep, correct. Okay, so let's say your client is there. Okay, let me write this question. Otherwise, I'll forget.
I'm not able to see it though, and yeah.
Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it, but I've connected from my phone, so it's
Okay,
very small
okay,
for me.
okay.
Yeah, you can just
Uh,
narrate it. Maybe you can type
yeah,
it for your
yep,
reference.
yep, yep. Okay. Next is, let's say your client is saying, I want to have
Mhm.
an policy like if someone is trying to connect to a target machine, so his or her session should automatically gets closed after 3 hours, whether he is doing anything. So the session should gets closed automatically 3 hours. So how we
Mhm.
can achieve this?
Uh, Maybe I think on the platform side, there is in the privilege session management,
Okay.
from hour to 2 hours something is that we have to like give those in minutes over there.
Mhm.
That can be one what we can do, or maybe in the connection component there'll be some sort of parameter where we have to change it.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Next question is, okay, you said like you worked on distributed also. Like you have idea
Yeah, I
about
worked on
distributed.
distributed.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
let's say in distributed vault, your primary or you can say master is down.
Mm-hmm.
So how CPM, PVW and PSM will be functioning?
Uh, I think we will have another set of servers which will be speaking to satellite,
Okay.
or either we can do like in all vault.inf we can mention all the satellite vault IPs so that if something goes wrong, then it can communicate to the any one of the satellite
Yeah,
vault,
it's
which is
having already all the vaults are having that satellite vault IP in their vault.net. Is there any
okay.
limitation or they can just do this function or if will CPM will be functioning or PSM or PVW will be functioning or not?
They will be functioning. I think there should not be any sort of interruption.
Okay, cool. So let's say you, in the same scenario, if your master vault is not available, so do we have any other candidate like who which should take the position of that master vault or it will be promoted as a master vault?
Yeah, like we can promote it like once we log in onto the satellite vault with CA manager, like CA manager space and promote. If we give this command, promote as a master. If we give this command on that particular satellite, it will become the candidate vault or the what we say, the master vault for that particular time.
Okay, cool. Any like limitation you are aware of about distributed vault architecture, or in which scenario you will refer to a client like go for a distributed vault architecture?
Uh, I would suggest it like when there are few applications, like if I speak in terms of bank, if I say there are few applications, they just have to speak with the world that is present in India, and the data should not go outside India. So we have to make sure that that particular data is getting like the application is speaking only to India vault in such scenario, like because there is an just a scenario that what we are currently following. RBI have some sort of rules that data from India should not go out to any other country. In that scenarios, we can just tell them to connect them, like we can allow them to connect to the satellite vault, and so that they connect only to Indian hosted vault and no other vaults.
Okay, so okay, so any idea about the architecture, how you design the architecture of distributed vault,
Uh, Architecture,
or like how
I would
many
say
uh, satellite vault and primary vault are supported?
I think it can support 5 satellite vaults at a time. The master vault, including the master vault, or correctly, I'm not sure, but it can support 5 satellite vaults at a time. The master vault, I guess.
Okay, cool. Okay, moving to the next question. So let's say there are 1,000 accounts and in the organization, just taking an small environment. So let's say there are 1,000 accounts you have in the organization, and out of 1,000, there are 200 accounts which are non-compliant.
Okay.
So how you will be just working on those uh, 200 non-compliant accounts, and like we need to achieve the 90% or 90%, 90 plus compliance.
Mhm.
So how we can achieve it?
Okay. So first thing what I'll do is go to reports tab and download the compliance report. From there, filter out the failed accounts either by it has failed for verification or failed for change or failed for reconcile. I'll try to get those first. I will then maybe try to do a pivot to the error codes, whichever, like if there is one error code which has 50, which has the like the major error codes. I will try to work on the major error codes because that's the big impact for us. So if it's like there is no reconcile added for few accounts, or the reconcile account does not have the permission to log on onto the servers, and all those stuff. So I'll get that sorted and then do a reconcile, and those 50 servers or 70 servers will get disappear. And then next I'll work on the other set of error code, which is the bigger in count, and try to sort them out.
Okay. So let's say you fix the all the backend issue, like your
Mhm.
reconcile thing, username or password is incorrect, or like if firewall was blocking the communication. So how you will fix those now? Like you want to just if you want to make the accounts compliant, you need to change or reconcile the password, and that should be done
Yes, correct. Yeah.
automatically, because if you are aware of, there is a discrepancy in the compliance report. If the accounts
Mhm.
passwords are not rotated automatically, and you have rotated the
Mhm.
password manually also, and it is rotated, still in the compliance report it will show like it's non-compliant, if you are aware of that discrepancy.
Uh, Like if after running a reconcile, when I try to pull a fresh report, still it will show me that it is not reconciled, like it is in failed state. That's what you're
Yes, yes,
saying.
because you have done it manually.
Mm-hmm.
So how you can fix those? Like it should show, because now you have fixed the backend issue and you are clicking on manually, like you are
Mm-hmm.
doing a manual thing. If you are doing a manual thing, sometime there is a discrepancy. If you will see on the CyberArk community portal also, you will find one article. So there is a discrepancy.
Okay.
If the CPM is not rotating the password automatically and you are forcing the
Mm-hmm.
CPM, so sometime in the report
Mm-hmm.
it will show this account is non-compliant.
Okay. So in that scenario, for me to get a like a clear without discrepancy, a clear compliance status, maybe on the platform of those failed accounts, I can just mention the changes. If there is unsync that happens, then it should get reconciled. So that parameter I will enable to yes. And once the CPM finds that okay, this account is in unsync, I should trigger the change or trigger the reconcile for it.
Okay. So let's say CPM cycle is for 90 days, and you have made
Mm-hmm.
it as an you have made marked the disabled, or you have just clicked on the verify and the password failed. So it will trigger and flag to this account, like this account is non-compliant or something. So how
Yeah.
CPM will be rotating it automatically? Which feature you can enable it so that it will rotate? It will see that this account is having a flag. I should sync the password. You got
Uh,
the
no, I didn't get the
okay, okay.
question actually.
So
Yeah,
let's
please.
say one account is there and you
Mm-hmm.
want CPM to rotate the password automatically. So
Okay.
to make it like to flag it, so what you have done, you have the password which is stored in CyberArk is not correct. It's out of sync, like
Mm-hmm.
it's different from your target machine. So you clicked on the
Mm-hmm.
verify and it failed. So
Mm-hmm.
it failed, which
Mm.
means there is a flag on it now, because as you know, CPM
Yeah,
will
correct. Yeah,
retry 5 times to change the password.
5 times. Yeah,
So
yeah.
now there is a flag. So how you will fix it? So how CPM will come to know like there is a flag on it and I should sync the password or I should rotate the password now? Which
In the platform level, for the reconciliation, when in unsync, that parameter should be enabled to S.
okay,
So once it finds it is in unsync, then reconcile account will set a new password and get it in sync.
okay, cool. Last question. So let's say one account you have onboarded in CyberArk, and when you are trying to change the password, it's failing, but reconcile is working. Any specific reason or any idea you have on this?
Change is failing, but
Yeah,
reconcile is
yes.
working.
Change is failing and reconcile is working.
Maybe the own ID, the ID itself doesn't have the permission to change its own password. That's why that is happening. That can be
Okay,
one case.
okay.
Usually it's a very rare scenario because the ID should have the permission, but maybe due to some like access issues or like the ID might not have that sort of permission, it can change its own password,
Yep.
but the reconcile ID can do it for it.
Yeah. Yeah, one that's correct. Any other possibilities?
Uh, ID, okay, not. Maybe ID is locked, so that can be one thing. So it is locked, so that's why it's not able to change it. But reconcile ID has that sort of permission where it can unlock it and then reset its password.
Yep. But let's say after you have done reconcile again, you are pushing the change again, it's failing.
Uh,
So any
again,
specific, or have you come across such issues?
maybe password aging is causing an issue. Like password aging is like 1 day or something after it changes, it gets expired.
Okay. So any idea what is this password aging?
Password aging is like if we set password aging as -1, it is like the password will not expire. And if we set it to 1, 2, or 3 days, like the password will get expired on those particular. Like if we set it for 1 day, then in every 1 day the password will get expired. So it will get the password is no more valid for that particular ID.
Okay, so you mean to say, let's say you have set it for 1 day, so which means after every day you need to rotate your password.
Yeah, in every day it will get expired before, and for that reason it will not able to change it. But reconcile ID can force reset the password
Okay,
because it has the highly privileged or access to the
okay.
ID.
So is it an like scenario like which company will be having like rotating the password on the target server after every day? Let's
No, it's not.
take your domain ID. You log in with your domain ID to your mailbox or CyberArk or any
Hmm.
other application.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
um, do you think like on daily basis you need to rotate the
No,
password?
it's not. No, it's not the scenario on daily basis. It will be either. It should be maybe either 90 days or,
Yep,
but not on daily basis, but it will be always greater than 30 days
yep,
or 90 days or
yep,
whatever
yep,
it
yep.
is.
Yeah, you are correct, but that policy is not exactly what you have said. Okay, cool.
Maybe.
Yep, yep. Okay, so let's discuss.
Yeah.
Okay, so first was absolutely correct, which you gave in starting. That was absolutely fine. Recommendation is also that was also fine, but as you know, like for HA, we one of the main recommendation is to go with the physical machine always, because as you
Yeah.
know on virtual machine it is supported, but you won't be able to get that performance. And why you are going for HA?
Performance. Yeah.
Why
Understood.
we are going for HA?
Hmm.
Because we need that performance, because user impact is high in our organization. So we want, like, if
Hmm.
active volt is going down, it is passive should come in fraction of second. That's why we are going with the HA. So that's why that's the main recommendation we should have, that is your physical vault, physical machine. Okay, how drives are mapped to HA vault? So the answer was also like partially correct. You said the send drive, so correct. So as you know, both the machines should be connected using a fiber optic cable and on the same data center.
Okay.
So as you know, if one is going down, your storage should move to another server where you have your vault data. So we have storage plus quorum disk. So both will move from
Okay.
one to another. So that will be configured by the Windows team, and they use some Luna expansion. I forgot that exact name, which is used for mapping this. Because as you know, the scenario is one, if one is going down, it should trigger the another one active. And how it will be active? When your disks are coming active on the passive side, where you have your
Okay.
vault data and quorum disk. And
Okay.
quorum disk is mostly used for your, to avoid the split brain scenario,
Okay. Okay.
because
Okay.
it is used to define the priority of the server.
Hmm.
Because this disk you can have 1 GB or 2 GB, because no data is getting stored in this. This disk is just to validate, like both should, what shouldn't come at the same time. That's the main, to avoid that split brain scenario. Okay. Uh, okay, you have prod and DR vault on premises and need to build a new DR. So what could be the reason? So okay, so as you said, like there could be more data. That was absolutely fine. And as you also know, like on premises, it's a completely separate environment, and cloud is separate environment, completely. And you are, let's say you are replicating the heavy data, 500 GB, 100 GB. Just imagine if you are downloading anything in your mobile phone, 10 GB thing you are downloading on your mobile phone, how much bandwidth it will consume. Though it will work, if you have good connection, it will work, but it will take some time. in DR, if you are having, like, if you are completely going from the one different architecture to different, like it's in cloud. So when it's coming to PSM recording, it's failing because it's having more data. Your video
Okay.
recordings are there. So if you will check in
Okay.
the vault.ini, there is a one configuration, number of chunks. If you have seen
Okay.
number of chunks there, you by default it is commented. So what you can do, you can uncomment it and you can define how much data you want to replicate. You don't want to replicate the complete data in one go. You want, like, it
Okay.
should replicate one by one, or uh, there is some, I think by default it's 100 MB or something. I don't remember the exact, but it's there in the vault.ini, which you can always check, and you can uncheck that value, restart the service. So what it will do, it will replicate the one by one. It will take some time, let's say, though it will take some time, 1 day, 2 days also it can take, but it will never fall down, like it will be running. So that's the one of the scenario, like, issue.
Okay.
And also another, you can also do one thing. If if you will remove it, let's say you have removed the DR user from PSM recording, so it will not replicate the PSM recording. All the say, apart from the PSM recording, all the saves will be replicated. Correct?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Next is, you are trying to replicate the data. That was also absolutely correct. This another is, I was saying, like, there is a communication error. So what do you understand by the communication error? If there is a communication error between
Port blockage.
yes, you said everything.
Okay.
Parvol, you didn't say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Next is, yeah, this was also correct, the PSM related. And if its client is asking, this was also correct. It's there. There is a parameter in your platform setting, maximum, I think maximum duration or maximum session time something. By default, that is 2 hours. So we can increase or decrease there. So by default, your session will be disconnected after, and you will get a pop-up like your session is about to like disconnect in 2 minutes.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, this one in distributed vault. Okay, so remember one thing. If your primary vault is going down, your CPM will not be functioning. There is a limitation. CPM always connect to the primary vault and function it. It will not be connecting to satellite vault. And for your PVWA and PSM, if your primary vault is down, your PVWA and PSM can only perform the read-only operation. You won't be able to perform any write operations. It will only be performing read-only operation. There is a limitation in distributed vault architecture. If your
Okay.
primary vault is not available. Okay, if master vault is not available, then how the disaster scenario will be configured? That also you gave the correct answer. We have a candidate, and using that CA vault manager command, we will promote it, or you can define it. So it will be in standby. If your primary vault is not available, it will automatically become as a master vault or primary vault. And in which scenario you will refer? So that was also the correct only, because it depends, again it depends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
because as you know, distributed architecture is very costly. You need to build a physical machine because it is not supported on cloud. So just imagine how many machines you need to build. Total there are 6 supported, 5 satellite vault you can have and 1 primary vault.
And
Yeah,
one.
total
Okay. One
6
master.
you can have it. So let's imagine you are having 6 vault and all are physical machines. Physical machines, then you need to procure the license, CyberArk license, how much it will cost. Cool. uh, yeah, it was 6 only. If there are 1,000, this was also the correct answer you gave. And discrepancy, like, that was also defined. What we can do, like, we can, either we can change the password policy, let's say, for 1 day. just to fix that, just to make it compliant in the reports,
Mm-hmm.
so that automatically next day CPM will rotate the password automatically, and then it will
Okay.
show the compliant in the compliance report. Because this is discrepancies there. If you will see in the CyberArk community or community portal also, you will find this thing. There is an article already there. And
Okay.
change is failing. That was also the correct answer. But when you said the minimum password age, so
Mm-hmm.
that means you cannot change the, let's say you are setting 1 day. So own user
Mm.
cannot change the password more than once in a same day.
Okay.
But other account where reconcile is another account that can change the password of any other account any number of
Okay,
times.
okay. The own account doesn't have
Yes,
permission like to change its password like multiple times in
yes,
a day.
yes, correct, correct. So that's
Okay,
why
okay,
we need to
understood,
make it
understood.
disabled, because we don't want that policy, because we have one-time password policy configured in our environment for some critical accounts where the
Mm-hmm.
password should be rotated after every use to do.
Yeah, yeah, understood.
Cool. So that's all the questions. I hope, like,